This is Transcend with Nat, where we are awakening to the spiritual heart, sharing stories and awarenesses along the path of transcendence. Hi, and welcome to Transcend with Nat. This is Nat. I am your host. And today we're going to be talking a bit about how we can create more of the experience of life that we want, and how intention plays a part, how energy works, practically speaking, in this process of creating more of the experience of life that we want. But first, I want to tell you about a couple things that are my offerings. One is this new book that I have out called Transcending the Practice of Spiritual Living, Volume 2, which is available on Amazon. That's my latest book. Today, I'm actually going to be referencing my latest newsletter, or one of my most recent newsletters that I do weekly, which you can get. It's free. You can sign up. I do one free full one a month, and then the others, you get part of it free. And if you want to get the whole thing free for all the rest of the month, then you can sign up for a subscription for that. And that's on Substack. But all this you can get to from my website, transcend.online. I also do one-on-ones with people. So if you would like to do that, we start out with a spiritual life review, which is an opportunity for you to really reflect on your life from the higher consciousness by putting it into the light and seeing what the light has present for you in that process. And you can sign up for that or request that at my website, transcend.online. Now, one thing that I am starting to do more of is just light blessing meditation for people. It's a 5-10 minute process that we do together, either over the phone or on Zoom. I tap into the light. It's something I do in the Spiritual Life Review, but the Spiritual Life Review is much more comprehensive, and you have a chance to really work with me and look at your life together in that review. This is just the spiritual light that we call in and looking at what's present spiritually, and I do a recording of that and give that to you at the end. So if you're interested in that, just reach out to me. It's not on my website yet, but you can reach out to me through my website, transcend.online, if you are interested in one of those. Now, today I want to talk to you about how you create energy, how you create more loving gratitude light in your life. And to do that, I want to use the analogy of exercise. We can use the analogy of running. So if you're sitting on your couch, chilling out, and you want to go for a run, you don't get the energy to go for that run by sitting on your couch. You get the energy to go on that run by starting to run. You would think it's different, that it should be that if I want to go for a run, that I should have the energy to go for that run before I start running. And that's just not how, in my experience, and in probably your experience, that this works. Is that if you're sitting on the couch, you're going to have that initial, what I call intention. And that is that initial spark of energy that comes in and it says, I'm going for a run. Now, you may not feel like going for a run. I mean, I haven't felt like going for a run many times. I feel like I don't really want to go for a run. I'd rather just hang out here on my couch. And part of that, the thinking process may be, I don't really have the energy to run. I'm feeling lethargic. I'm feeling just tired. Like I'm so tired, I'm not going to go for a run. But if you have that initial spark of that intention to run, an intention isn't, I intend to run and then I sit on the couch. A true intention includes the movement towards that intention. So you get that spark of energy. It forms as a thought, as I'm going to go for a run. You start doing those things to go for the run. You put on your clothes, your shoes, and you start running. And how many of you have noticed that as you start to run, that you actually get the energy to run, and all of that lethargy, that feelings of, I don't have the energy to run, at some point in your run, it clicks in and you have the energy there to run. Now, you always have the energy when you're running to run because you're running. It's self-evident. But then you actually create more energy by running. It comes to you. Now, my teacher and friend, John Roger, used to say, spirit meets you at the point of your action. And that's demonstrated in this level by as you move, you get the energy to do that thing. So as you move and start running, you get the energy to run. Now, how does that function in terms of creating more of what you want in your life? Well, if you want more loving in your life, if you want more joy and gratitude in your life, well, let's start with loving. If you want more loving in your life, you start by creating that loving, by giving that loving out, by being loving. You don't say, oh, I want more loving in my life, and then you're just a jerk to everyone. You're probably not going to experience more loving in your life. If you say, I want more loving in my life, more compassion, more caring, and then you go out and you're cruel and you're mean and you're grumpy, you're probably not going to be experiencing, yourself at least, more loving, more joy, more compassion, more caring in your life. And this is also the basis of the golden rule. Do unto others as you'd have them do unto you, because there's this universal understanding that has been passed through so many religions, philosophies, that there is this process of, if you want more of something, you must give of that. So if you want more in your life to be grateful for, then you need to start by being grateful for what you have. Now that's important, so I'm going to repeat that. If you want more in your life to be grateful for, then you need to start by being grateful for what you have. If you want more loving in your life, then you need to start being loving and giving loving. And that's how you will create and experience more of it. Just like if you want the energy to run, you start running. So you have to give of what you want to receive. Now that starts with intention, just like running starts with intention, with that original spark of, I am going for a run. In the newsletter that I put out called Transcend with Nat is the name of the newsletter on Substack, and you can get that at transcend.online. The name of this one was called At the Point of Action. And I go into how to align your actions more with the spirit. But the first part is that intention. And intention, as I wrote in this article, intention is the initial impulse of energy that creates organization from the formless. So you're basically taking that spirit, bringing it into intention, and that starts the process of organizing energy towards that. So if your intention in your life is loving, then you keep your focus on that, and that becomes the spark, the energy that you're aligning and organizing your life towards. So if you want more abundance in your life, then you need to be seeing with the eyes of abundance and having that intention of abundance. And it's not something that's separate from you. People often look at abundance as something that's separate, that's something that is out there. But that's not where abundance resides. Abundance is not separate from you. In fact, it is within you that you experience the abundance. J.R. John Roger, my teacher that I spoke of earlier, he used to say that all relationships dwell primarily inside of you. Our relationships that we have with people out there, they really exist within us. And if you want to change something, most of that change needs to happen within you on how you are relating to that person inside of you. This is a hard one to get your head around sometimes because our natural tendency is to try to change the other person. This reminds me of when I was living and working with JR, with John Roger, who I call JR, so I'm going to start referring to him as that. I was in a room, and my room was also my office space, but it overlooked the parking lot. It was great. Loved my room. I had a great room because it overlooked where we parked the cars. We were in Mandeville Canyon. It's a beautiful place in Los Angeles, and there's these beautiful pine trees with a big marble statue of a Buddha, and I got to see this peaceful view as well as seeing who's coming in and out from my room, as my desk would overlook all that. And then I had a loft. And when I moved in, something that was in that room was this light pink filing cabinet. I couldn't stand this thing, but it was inherited as part of, it was one of the pieces that was in the room. And I remember I just so wanted to get rid of that thing. I couldn't stand it. It was just ugly. Light pink metal filing cabinet that someone had painted. So I asked JR, hey, can I? Nope. Hey, can I get rid of it? Nope. Like for years, it was like, hey, can you think I could? Nope. And I was like, come on, man. This thing is ugly. But I think it's a great allegory or analogy for relationships, because there's always going to be that thing that the other person does that no matter how much you try to get them to change it, no matter what you do, they're not going to change it. It's not going to change. And it's going to annoy you right there. Now, eventually, I accepted it. And there are things in relationships that you just have to accept. And the funny thing, I guess, the thing that I come back to often is I have a really good friend, Phil, and he's been married for a very long time. And I often pick his brain about that. And he has this really simple view that the other person is who they are. There's going to be things that you don't like about their behavior, about their personality. There's just, no matter who it is, there's going to be some things. And it's for you to decide, basically, can you deal with those things? Can you live with those things that you don't really particularly like? Or can you not live with it? And there are things that you just can't live with. And then there's things that you're just going to have to learn to accept and that you're going to have to learn to live with. And to make those decisions sooner than later in a relationship is going to be a lot better for you, rather than knocking your head against this wall of trying to change this person. You learn that over time, there's just some things you're going to have to accept. And just like that pink filing cabinet, like every personality has a pink filing cabinet. It's just going to be like, man, I don't like that. But over time, I just learned to accept it. And I stopped even worrying about it. And it stopped even bothering me, really. And now, and this is the funny thing, right? When I look back on it, kind of part of a really good time in my life. And so I think about that. And if I think about it, it's just kind of funny. Even though at the time it irritated me, now it's just kind of a funny thing that was part of this great overall experience in my life and a really good time in my life. And I think that can be related with relationships too, is that sometimes when you actually lose those relationships through however you lose them, eventually we lose all of them, right? That you will look back and the things that irritated you, the things that annoyed you, those things might be kind of funny to you later on. Kind of like, yeah, I kind of missed them. Man, that really irritated me that they did that. But isn't that funny? So a lot of this is just saying that how we relate to the world around us and how we relate to the people around us is primarily inside of ourselves. And so if you're going to make the changes, most of those changes are going to be within you. That will translate to out there in the world. Because as you first go on the basics, which is you take care of yourself so that you can help take care of others. You don't hurt yourself, you don't hurt others. So if you're in a situation that is hurtful to you, that is harming you in some way, especially towards where you're going in your life, if that's loving and caring and expansion and abundance, and there's a situation that is harmful to you, then that's called do your best to get out of it. And part of that, though, is that you don't want to recreate that situation, is that there's a healing that takes place inside of you. And that is when you recognize these hurts, these places where you don't see the goodness of yourself. When you look at yourself and see those areas where you lack, that you bring forward that loving into them, that you bring forward the forgiving of you, the misunderstandings, the judgments on yourself, and the ways in which you are misinterpreting experiences as against you, that you can let go and forgive those and bring that loving essence of the heart, of that compassion that's within you, into those areas, and ask for the spiritual assistance in the healing of those things. Because so much of what we create out in the world is done because it's reflecting to us the areas of our own internal lack of vision of our own goodness. And so the more you can heal those wounds through forgiveness, through bringing that loving and applying it to those areas where the hurt resides, where the pain, where the trauma resides, and bringing that and allowing it to mend, to heal, the more that you're going to choose and make choices outside of you that are self-honoring to yourself and to the goodness of who you are. It really does start inside. And that relates all the way around. That relates to your relationships. That relates to how you experience this world with abundance. And so that initial intention of how you want to experience your greater life becomes really important to keep as a focus in your life. If that intention, which is that inner experience, that initial energy, as I defined it in that newsletter, the intention is the initial impulse of energy that creates organization from the formless. If you have that initial impulse towards loving, towards caring, towards abundance, towards gratitude, whatever those words that are a positive focus that resonate for you, that you can focus on to bring your intention into that, and then start moving on that intention in your life, then those things that aren't in line with that intention are going to surface. They're going to come up. One of the things that's really beautiful about relationships, and also challenging, is that it is challenging in that it brings up those areas inside of you that are reflected in the other person that you have work to do, that you have to heal, that you have to readjust how you're perceiving yourself and how you're perceiving them inside of you. And a lot of that comes down to attitude. And your attitude is determined by where you focus. If you want a greater attitude, if you want a higher attitude, if you want a good attitude, then you're going to want to focus on those things that are good, those things that are elevated, that are higher. One of the things, the concepts that JR talked about was that your altitude determines your attitude, and your attitude determines your altitude. In fact, I don't remember which one came first, but I think they both work. So if you want a better attitude, then you start focusing on things of a higher altitude. You start focusing on things that are a positive focus for you. You start focusing your intention towards those things that are good, and then you become them. If you want more loving, you become loving. And the intention would take the view of I am loving. I am experiencing abundance in my life. If you want more abundance, then you need to start experiencing the abundance in your life right now. You become an abundant consciousness. And then the more things you have or the less things you have, no matter what, you can be living in that abundance of a higher consciousness. That's what I have to share with you today. And until next time, God bless you all. Reach out to me for information, transcend.online, for all these offerings. I also am doing events. New events are coming up. I will put it in the post in the newsletter when I put these out. It will be on my website, transcend.online. The current events I'm doing, like the light gatherings, there's some workshops that are going to be coming up, some retreats that I'm working on. So keep up to date by joining that mailing list on transcend.online. And until next time, God bless you all.
Just forgive yourself. Come on, let it be, 'cause I'm free.